to change tactics a little bit. I'm going to do a quick fire trivia round. So
Okay.
let's see how we get on here. There's a few questions that I want to ask you. Okay.
Okay.
So first, what's
Uh-huh.
your favorite Zambian food?
Favorite Zambian food? Hey, yeah.
Fast.
Amataba yakusashila. Sample.
Okay. Name me 3 gemstones mined in Zambia. Gemstones.
Shai Shiba.
Emerald,
Mhm.
amethyst. Come
Mhm.
on. Come on.
Cupid Zakonia.
You
Seriously.
malachite. Let's go for malachite.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Which Zambian tribe has the most attractive women? Okay, don't answer that. I'm joking. I don't want to start tribal wars. I want to see what your reaction would be.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
who was the Rhodesian man?
The Rhodesian man.
Mm-hmm. You should know this.
No, I don't. This is hard, Tanya.
This is not hard. This
Yes,
is
it
not
is.
hard.
Yes, it
The
is.
Rhodesian man was the fossilized human skull said
Broken
to be
Hill.
300. Broken Hill Man, exactly. Now referred to as Kabwe, the Kabwe skull. The skull is referred to as Kabwe skull.
No,
I
yeah.
thought you'd get that one. I was like, let me put this one in. You should know this one.
No, I didn't know that there was Rhodesian man. Anyway, keep going.
It was
I need
called the Rhodesian Man. It was discovered in 1921, so that's why it was Rhodesian Man. Okay, give me one fun fact that you know about Zambia.
one fun fact about Zambia. Fun fact. My goodness, you are just killing me. It's early, Tanya, and like my brain.
I'll let you off. It is early.
Fun fact about Zambia.
What one thing would you like your students to know about Zambia?
Wow. I think it's about the people, you know, just that. I wouldn't call it just resilience, but just the bounce back. Just, you know, we're just, huh? I'm a like huh? It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
100%. I
But it's
hear
just
you.
I feel like I think it's nice, especially for wound up Westerners. You know what I mean? Always stressed, and it's like
Exactly.
so. Yeah. Fun fact about Zambia. My goodness, fun fact about Zambia. I don't know, Tanya. There's no fun fact about anything like a country.
There's plenty of fun. You could have told me
You-
how many national parks are in Zambia. You could have told me what's the national bird of Zambia. Like it was just a fun fact. It wasn't,
Oh, na mwisho wetu mchari shupa.
a fun fact.
If it's much na fun fact, to chat tonto ngadithi awa funny.
Oh, naimwe fa. Anyway, okay. So, let's move on.
Uh-huh.
This one, who is your favorite school teacher and why?
My goodness. School teacher could be university as well. Okay. I'll say Mr. Loriman, and not because he's your father, but
I mean, I put that question in because that's the answer I wanted. So
yeah, not because he's your father, but because I've actually kept a relationship with him, and he and I talk very often, and he takes my calls, and we talk about everything. I mean, everything.
yeah.
And,
I'd walk in sometimes and he's on the phone and I'm like, who are you talking to? And he's like, Henry. And I'm like, Henry doesn't even phone me. Why is he phoning you? You know?
yeah.
So yeah. But it's been nice to see that you have that relationship though,
It's amazing. And you know why?
Let's just to clarify for those listening, this is your grade 5 teacher.
Yeah. Grade 5 teacher.
Yeah.
The man who used to who taught us how to play volleyball, but he didn't teach
Who was your volleyball teacher? Yes.
Oh my goodness. But one of the things Mr. Orman did for me, I think he's the first person that gave me a consistent discipline about something.
In what sense?
Volleyball.
Okay, yes.
Remember how intense he was with practice?
Remember how we were committed to it, but what did that lead to? Do you remember we went from last in the trust schools volleyball to the top number 1 team in the Kabwe Trust School? What were they called? Just the trust schools, inter schools volleyball.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was a seed that he planted, like, grit. I remember him on the sideline with a cigarette. You daft, you daft. What does he like say? Daft chatting come to have a daft chatting while and the daft coco. Daft chatting. Now Mutoroka Elijah Sakala diving for the ball and the end of Mutonga slamming it. Then a bit of
For
one
me, for
gig.
me, Beatrice, she was so small with her volley. She was our volley.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her set, sorry, her set.
Better.
And then we were there trying to volley over the net. Mine was my serve.
Did
Tell
you
me,
just
Henry, who I used to do a side serve, remember? And I won all of my I won like 2 or 3 games in a
yeah, because
row
you kind of
just
had a
off my serve.
kind of like a spinning kind of thing.
And nobody could get it back up.
Okay, that
Exactly.
my goodness, that's a throwback. Wow.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I remember you and I and well, the group of us, and we would just be going up and down those jacaranda roads, whatever those roads were called, and you pick up a stone and you're volleying it, and you just like the smallest random things, because I think that volleyball got ingrained in us, and like it became our thing like the whole time. You pick up a ball. For you guys, maybe there was a bit of football, but for me, it was always there's a ball, start to volley it.
Yes.
So it was quite impactful.
Extremely. In fact, some parents were like, "Oh, but Lori, my na ba chila mo. You don't send him volleyball ba na?" And but then he
And we
also
used
does.
to practice late, didn't we? We used to have
Yes,
long and
yes,
late
yes.
practices.
And one of the things I loved is also the fact that the way Mr. Loriman embraced our community. I'll never forget this when my cousin died, which was the first personal major death in my life. She used to work at your mom's hair salon, and when my cousin Liz died, she did a very personal life end. I
Mm.
remember your dad coming to our house. Not just coming, he actually contributed. I think it was a sack of cabbages or something, but a physical contribution.
Mm.
And let's just put it. Basungu,
Mm.
Baisa Pachidi Refi Amuchin. He was in the culture. He just
He was married to a Zambian woman. What do you
no,
expect?
no, no,
Eh?
no, no, no. Tanya, let's give him credit. Not everybody's like that. Not
Mm.
everybody's like that. Not
No, no,
everybody.
no, no. But I mean, like he understood what needed to be done, because being married to a Zambian woman, understanding what happened, because obviously we'd had our own funerals, and he knows the process of what people would go through. So I would say it's a reflection of his learning of the culture.
Wow, and his character. That spoke to me. It spoke into the ages for me, and that's why when I picked up the phone call to find him again, I mean the phone to call him, it's amazing how little things. So this talk that we're having is about inspiration, just inspiration, and sometimes we think this is grand things, but it's
Mhm,
little seeds.
mhm,
Like this man coming to a funeral. And I'm a young man, highly impressionable. Not 20 like for family years,
mhm,
but teacher base. So
mhm.
those types of things, and then of course now he and I have conversation about his dogs and all the stuff that are happening, and it's I think, yeah, he would be up there in terms of my a person that totally spoke to my present moment and to my future. So
Amazing,
mhm,
amazing.
yeah.
Okay, final question on this. If you could invite 3 Zambians to a dinner party, who would you invite and why?
Okay, that's a great question. I'd invite Mr. John Monakatwe.
Who is that?
He was the first education minister in Zambia.
Hmm.
Very profound man. And I'll say this, I think also because our curriculum needs some adjusting. I hope they have. I haven't looked at it recently. Um, it didn't expose us to Zambian intellect as much as it could have. And so when later on in life, when I'm working on my doctorate, I ordered some books. You know how you do the library ordering. Just wanted
Hmm.
Zambian authors, and I read some of his work, Mr. Monakatwe. And I thought, wow, I wish I met this man and asked him what it was like back then when there was only about under 150 Zambian college educated people to
Mm.
teach, and there's something impressive about that. So Monakato would be one of them. Then the second person would be uh, Mr. Kapwepo.
Hmm.
There's so much.
Who's that?
He was he was a vice president under Kenneth Kaunda. And
Hmm.
there's all kinds of conspiracies around how he died and all that stuff. But he was extremely progressive. I think he would have given us a better sense of identity if he had lived longer. I think it took Zambians a long time to come around to really celebrate us as people. You know how Nigerians and those other African countries are really into their homelands.
Yeah.
Zambia, we've evolved. It's taken us a while.
You know, Henry, recently I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about how it always it feels like a Zambian is backward in comparison to a Nigerian. If you think of like the Africa person, like they've just always had this more committed and go-getting kind of attitude. And I was like thinking about it, reflecting on it, and I haven't concluded it. It's just interesting that you've touched on it, but it feels like their journey and the resources they have and the way that also because they're on a continent, they have a lot of that that older when the boat trade was a big thing, let's say like slavery, but even pre-slavery, I feel like as a people they became cultured a lot more, and by cultured I mean like this multiculturalism. And
Yes.
us being landlocked, I think we didn't have that, and so I think we were very what's the word, kind of small community,
Yes.
local for a
Yes.
long time. And I know like we have sort of like migration stories about us, but when you think about like the traffic that was coming through on ships on coastal areas and on known big coastal areas, because I was like, well, how come Nigerians are like this, like for
Mhm.
me, how do they why do they differ so significantly, you
Yeah.
know
Yep.
and I've been thinking about it recently, and I was, whether it's of any value to anyone I don't know, but that's kind of what I concluded, that they've had that ship industry thing happening for them a lot longer than we have, and they were kings, and they had pride in who they were, against these other people. So I don't know what's your thought on that.
I agree with you. And you asked me early on a Zambian dish that I miss. And I think our cuisine, sorry, Zambian folks, is not as hot as it could be.
It's very simple and plain, and whenever I say to people, like even white people, try Zambian food, and they're like, it's very bland. And I'm like, well, it kind of is, but again, because I grew up on it, I don't see that. But if you cooked basic inshima, umsalu, nenama, like they're very very simple foods to cook, and they're very bland you
Yes.
know
And then you look at the Nigerian cuisine or Ethiopian cuisine, it's inspired by is by the trade and all that stuff. So to your point, I think landlocked kept our cuisine local. It kept
hmm
our outlook local. And we've been on a journey, and it's beautiful now to see just Zambians celebrating. We're all celebrating who we are. I think we've come to fully embrace our our space.
hmm
And it's beautiful to even go to Zambia now and listen to love songs and Bemba. When we were young, Takwadi Kumfweni Mbosha Mchibemba, Shari Shaba Kalamba, Piket Sha. Tanya, you won't believe this. I was riding my bike, and oh, I didn't say this. I live in Mexico now. And I was riding my bike one day in Mexico, and I was listening to PK Sha, and I started crying.
mm,
Yeah. The words hit me. I never ever like gave it the ear. The words were so powerful. Try it. Ni
yeah.
Bamba so. And
Wow.
I thought to myself, wow, I've lost so much in this whole posturing I've had of not totally embrace. So Kapwepo second, I would love for him to. Then the other person I'd invite, by the way, I'm just thinking about these now. It's not like I spent a lot of time thinking because about who I'd invite. The third person was Babette Kaunda.
Okay, interesting.
Um, I would love to hear what it was like watching a 30-plus-year-old man put together a nation.
Mhm. Mhm.
But she had that purview. I like to say about Betushe, what was happening? What did you see?
Mhm.
It would be a neat conversation. All of a sudden,
Mhm.
like, Salama minister, Olu abalozi bafuru, abatonga bafuru, ababemba bafuru, twice,
Mhm.
Obushubadelanda, I'm Fina. I'd love to hear those things. Like,
Absolutely.
so yeah,
Yeah.
those three. And I loved her. I don't know whether she was portrayed by the media or branded. There was a gentility about her. I never met her.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
No, and there was just this class about
Yeah.
that movie, and so I'm curious whether it was just a brand or just That was her character, you know.
Yeah, and same. I haven't met her, and but I feel like that was her character. She was a good, just a supportive wife, basically. And there's a few moments of them singing together and him playing. I think it's the guitar, and so I think it was an interesting relationship that they had. It would actually be, now you've mentioned it, now you put it in my head, I'm like, actually, I think this is something I want to look into a little bit more. So